Hi, my name is Dr. Matt Silver, and I want to thank Sara and the rest of the Loudoun Roadrunners for choosing me and allowing me to do this, of being added to the newsletter and making a video and a content for you guys to work on your injuries, right? Work on injury kind of management and just how to run better. So thanks again, Sara, and the rest of the board members. So when I was looking for running clubs in the Frederick area and in that Northern Virginia area, the first one I joined was the Loudoun Roadrunners, and there's something special about running clubs and the running community where we just have, for some reason, we want to run together, and whether it's we've been doing it for thousands of years, when hunter-gatherer ages, but there's something special about it, and when we're running, we have an injury or we have something that's stopping us. It can be very frustrating, and that's the whole reason why I started my business, right? The owner of Alpha Project Physio and Performance, where I see a lot of people in Frederick, and I also have a location in Germantown, Maryland as well. So the whole reason I started the business was there's this big ugly statistic out there of injury rates in runners, right? And the statistic is, I believe it ranges from around 70 to 80% of distance runners have some kind of musculoskeletal injury in a given year. And I don't know about you, but that is I think that's a pretty insane number, especially when we have all these advances in shoe technology, right? And just supposedly advances in the healthcare community and healthcare in general. Why are we so bad at treating distance runners, right? So when I graduated school and started to realize that this is an underserved population, and that a lot of what we learn in school, it just didn't work very well with runners. So what I did was I spent a lot of time working with runners, taking the necessary courses and continuing education to learn how to best treat you, right? How to best treat a runner. And that's why I'm doing this, guys, is the goal of the business is to take that 70 to 80% statistic and just start to chop away at it, right? Start to get it lower and lower and lower in my community here, in our community, to as low as we can possibly get it. Because I know exactly what it's like to I'm a runner myself. My personal story is I ran cross country and track and field in high school and college, and I had to cut my college career short because of all the knee pain and low back pain I was having. I just had to stop running. And as a 20-something-year-old, that's pretty crazy, right? So I take this stuff very seriously, and the reason I'm doing this is there's a lot of simple things we can do just with a simple lacrosse ball, mobilization band, and we can work on to improve, right? That's just our injuries and our pain and things that we have going on. So that's the whole point of this, and I want to say thanks again for letting me do it. The first thing that I want to cover is really just kind of a quick format of how to understand, hey, am I injured, right? Do I have an ache or pain? Am I actually injured? Like, what is going on, right? So we're going to talk about this I3 model. It's very simple, right? We like to complicate things in the physical therapy world sometimes, and this simplifies it a little bit. So we're going to talk about it and really talk about why it's important and what you can do to really how you can understand it and kind of where you fall on the spectrum. In the next section, we're going to talk about the I3 model. And this is a model where it helps us really understand why we get injured, and is the knee pain that you're having actually an injury, or is it just, hey, it's flared up and we can do some simple things to correct it, and if not, then seeing somebody like a physiotherapist may be a good option for you. But guys, you don't have to watch that part. I encourage you to watch it and to understand that. But if you want to say, hey, I want to get right to the nitty-gritty, I want to skip that and learn the hands-on techniques and things I can do on my own, totally fine. You can do that. But I will encourage you to please watch it. It's about 11 minutes long. It's just me going over it on a whiteboard. I think it'll be very beneficial for you to just understand, hey, what causes an injury, what causes my knee pain. It's very beneficial from that standpoint, but you can, by all means, if you're strapped for time, you can jump right to the next section of, hey, what we're going to cover for talking about knee pain today for runners. So guys, I encourage you to watch it, but if you don't want to, please skip ahead. It's around 10 or 11 minutes long, so just kind of skip past that part. It should be a part of the video of me sitting on the ground or kneeling. But guys, thanks again, and hope you enjoy the I3 model. So we're going to cover the I3 model today, and it's a very simple model. It's a very easy model to understand, but it's also just a efficient model to use. It's very easy, and it explains what an injury is. Are you injured, right? Are you not injured, right? Do you just have an ache or pain? And we'll talk about where that falls on the scale. But it's a very simplified model, and as a physical therapist, I've learned many other models that we learn in school and that we can utilize. However, in my opinion, nothing really beats the I3 model and its simplicity and its effectiveness in just helping me as a clinician, and also yourself, understand where you fall on the spectrum of injured, not injured, just not moving the right way sort of way. So the I3 model stands for incomplete mechanics. Incomplete mechanics. I know my handwriting is not the best. Incomplete mechanics is the first I. The second I is an incident. And the third I, this is where we are injured, okay? So incomplete mechanics, all this is that you're just not moving the right way. So something that might be included in incomplete mechanics is maybe overstriding, right? You're overstepping. Maybe it's you're bouncing too much when you run. Maybe your hips are tight, right? Maybe you have some mobility issue that we can address, but that would fall under incomplete mechanics, right? That mobility issue is going to be causing you to move a certain way, or just that tissue's not the right quality that it should be. So incomplete mechanics, there's a lot of things that fall underneath this, but the big distinguishing factor between an incomplete mechanic and an injury, or excuse me, an incomplete mechanic and an incident, is that there's no pain with an incomplete mechanic, right? This is an example. If you are overstepping and overstriding, if you don't have any knee pain, right, you're pain-free, but you're still doing this thing that we know will probably eventually cause pain and maybe an injury down the road, right? You're in the incomplete mechanic stage, right? You're not moving optimally. There's maybe some mobility issues, right? So I'll write mobility down here as well. Maybe it's a strength issue. Maybe you're just a little bit, right? There's a lot of things that fall underneath strength, so we'll just keep it simple and call it strength. But there's a lot that falls underneath here, and if you're a little bit weak, a little bit tight somewhere, or just not moving the right way, and there's also a lot of overlap where you can have multiple things occurring at once, such as your running form, your strength and your mobility might all have things going on at once. But the basic here, but the big takeaway of incomplete mechanics is you're just not moving efficiently. Because of that, right? Eventually you may have some things down the road, but right now you don't have anything going on, which is fantastic, right? Which is not that it's a good thing to be moving this way, but right, it gives us a great window of opportunity to start to fix this before we get some things that flare up. Another great example is squatting. Say squatting, right? If you take your squat form, break that down, and if you squat, you can't see my knees here, but if I were to squat with my knees really caving in, you don't need a degree in kinesiology to understand that, hey, that's maybe not the best mechanics that we should have. So squatting with your knees out, pushing your butt back, right? Using your muscles the right way, right? We want to be moving optimally, but imagine you did 100 squats where your knees were caving really far in, you might flare that knee up. When that happens, now we're at an incident, right? We are not injured, we just have some pain. Another example would be, right, overstepping. My marker works, there we go. Overstepping or overstriding, same thing, with knee pain, right? So now, you're overstepping and overstriding, but your knee, now it starts to hurt. Okay, this is where, we're not injured yet, right? We can still run, but we're at the point where now we have some aches or pains, okay? So this, incomplete mechanics, overstepping with no pain, eventually became knee pain because we were overstepping. And typically a lot of people, when we start running, we're in this phase where we can do a lot without having many repercussions, right? You can go run 3 or 4 miles and, I feel pretty good, right? Maybe a little normal muscle soreness, but nothing crazy. But over time, as we become maybe a more dedicated runner or a more competitive runner, and we want to do more half marathons, if ultras are game, more ultra marathons, that's awesome. But as we start training more and adding more volume to our training, this is where if we have an incomplete mechanic, it starts to show its ugly head through an incident, through some knee pain, ankle pain, low back pain is a huge one as well in this incident phase. So the key takeaway here is an incident is caused from incomplete mechanics, right? There's an arrow here. You're going to see a trend here of when we get to injury that the arrow is going to keep going back. So again, an incident is caused from an incomplete mechanic. Another example we can do is squatting. If I squat 1,000 times with my knees really caving in, right, maybe the first 100 I'm probably fine, especially if I start loading that up with a barbell and a lot of weight on my back, 200 pounds. Right, again, you're like, this isn't the best squatting form. You're going to flare something up. So again, big takeaway, an incident is caused from incomplete mechanics. So how do you solve this? How do you fix it? Well, you go back to incomplete mechanics. You look at your running form, right? If you're overstepping and overstriding, fix it, right? Do something to work on your running form. This is something I work a lot with runners is, hey, let's make sure we know how to land underneath our bodies. Another reason could be mobility, could be strength, and we'll talk a little bit more on that later. So again, incident caused from incomplete mechanics. I've said that a million times because I want you to realize that, hey, a lot of times when we're running and we don't have any pain, it doesn't mean that you're not doing anything wrong, right? It doesn't mean you have to change anything yet. We probably maybe should, but it lets us know that, hey, especially when we get here, that this creeps up on us, we were probably doing something wrong for a long period of time. And now we get to injury, everybody's favorite, right? We talked about incomplete mechanics, incident, now we're on injury. So an injury is just that. You are injured, okay? Let's take the example of overstepping, overstriding. You've done that for maybe the past year, and you're able to, let's say you just started, you're a new runner, right? Like, during COVID, why not run? I'm predicting there's gonna be a running boom. Maybe I'm right, we'll see what happens. But we start running, we have no idea how to run, so we overstep and overstride naturally because we've never done it before. So now we go from here. After 3 months, we start to get some knee pain. But as most runners, we say, I'll be fine. I'll just keep running. I'll just run through it. Unfortunately, that knee pain gets worse, and then it becomes, right, you blew your knee out, whatever that means. Blew your knee out. Whatever that means, you blew your knee out. Essentially, you can't run on your knee because, right, you kept running on it, but it was painful. All of a sudden, you took a step, twisted it the wrong way, going down, knee's injured, right? Yeah, maybe your meniscus, your cartilage, whatever you did to it, right? Your doc may say patellofemoral syndrome, but it swelled up like a balloon. You can't run anymore. That is the definition of an injury. It is stopping you from doing something that you want to do. In this case, running, right? And in the case maybe I blew my shoulder out doing too many presses overhead, now I can't do CrossFit, or now I can't press over my head, or I can't do my job, right? Now I can't be an electrician and have my arms over my head and do things. So this is where it gets very serious, very, very fast of being able to provide, right? Maybe for your family, if that's your profession, or in our case, being able to run and be part of a community, right? Part of a community that we love being a part of, right? We love running. So, and if we take this arrow, we do what I said we were gonna do, and we draw that back, what causes an injury? An incident. And what causes an incident is an incomplete mechanic. Again, one more time, we'll do the squat, right? If I'm squatting and I load up and I'm like, time to do some squats, and my knees cave in, I know you can't see them, but I have horrible squatting form, my toes turn out all the way, and I'm just collapsing, and I'm not pushing my back at all, I'm not pushing my butt back at all, I'm not using my glutes, right? If I do that 1,000 times, I'm gonna get some knee pain. If I do 1,000 more, and 1,000 more, and 1,000 more, and keep on pushing it, well, you might just get an injury because of the way you were moving. And it's gonna get very complicated too, of like, hey, what if I'm an elite distance runner and I'm competing in my 5th Boston Marathon, and now I have this calf pain that just randomly popped up, or I've had it pop up for a while, I've seen multiple other physical therapists. Why do I keep having this, right? Why do I keep having this issue? Well, again, if you're incident or injury, we gotta go back to incomplete mechanics, right? Is it the way, right? As we run more, and we run more as we run more often, we have to be that much more efficient at our running form, right? We have to be that much more perfect, that much better at running. If you're new to running and you're running 10 miles a week, you could probably get away with the not so perfect running form. But as we run more, especially marathon training and ultra training is huge, this is where you're gonna run into issues, where if you have a mobility issue, a strength issue, or an not necessarily overstriding, but a gait abnormality. You're bouncing, you're weaving in and out, scissoring your legs around, and it might be very, very minute, very small change in how you're moving. That can cause some issues, especially for veteran runners, right? That are like, man, you know, I've had this thing, I had this calf pain. One person had this calf pain that just kept creeping up. Like, well, we use this model, we could find out what's going on. In his case, his ankle was tight, right? Never really addressed it as aggressively as he should have, and well, fix the ankle tightness, fix the calf. So again, guys, injury is caused from it's caused from incident. I keep wanting to say that. Injury is caused from incident, and an incident is caused from incomplete mechanics. This is the essence of the I3 model and how we're going to use it going forwards to improve our mobility in this course. As we go through these exercises, I want you guys to be active participants, right? I know I talked a lot on the board here about the I3 model, but right, that's all that I'm going to do, right? And I want a lot of this to be you guys digging in, grabbing your lacrosse ball, using the wall to do the couch stretch, and trying these out for yourself, and really doing them for the full 2 minutes, and feeling, hey, how do I feel left to right? How does this affect my squats? Maybe try and go for a run afterwards. I highly encourage that, so that way you guys can see, hey, maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe there is something to these stretches and these mobilizations that you can do to improve your mobility and really improve your pain. So a great one we could do, guys, I do this for a lot of my workshops, and I'll have people say, hey, let's do a squat. Let's see how we're squatting to begin with, and then we can retest it afterwards. So all I want you guys to do is just do a squat, right? Feet shoulder width apart, feet straight ahead. Well, I guess whatever floats your boat, and then come on down, right? Get into a nice deep squat, and then come back up. Try it again. Say, oh, let me get really deep here. Come back up. Do like 5 of those. Do 10 if you want. Just see what you're feeling, and see, hey, maybe go a little bit deeper on the 3rd or 4th, and just see, hey, is my foot turning out? Does my hips feel tight? Do I feel like I'm shifting off to the side? Do I feel tightness anywhere? And when you do that, I want you to just remember kind of, hey, what was going on? I guess you could record yourself if you wanted to. If you want to go the extra mile, you could record yourself squatting, and then the couch stretch and the hamstring one and the one with the lacrosse ball. Try these out and then squat afterwards. See how it feels. If it makes it easier, maybe it just makes it really sore. A lot of the times, many people say, it feels easier, right? It feels looser. Ooh, maybe you do have less knee pain. That's awesome. But guys, try it in the beginning, see how it goes, and then retest it afterwards. Go for a run afterwards. Highly encourage it. Hey, maybe go for a run beforehand, and then try these stretches and mobilizations, and then go for the run, and see how you do, right? See how you feel. So guys, I highly encourage you to be active participants here, not just listen and just say, oh, I'm taking mental notes. That's fine. Totally cool if you do that, but I highly encourage you to say, hey, let's whip out, what if you don't have a lacrosse ball, whipping out a harder foam roller, or if you do have something like this, I highly encourage it. But that's the whole point of this, is realizing that, hey, there's a lot of stuff you can do on your own, and many of this stuff that I teach my patients, it's effective, and it's sometimes very, very quickly received. Knee pain is probably the most common complaint I hear from my runners, and also probably overall, but most clinicians hear from the runners, and runners in general, as myself. Knee pain sometimes is an occurrence that we that we have while running, and if we don't catch this, if we don't take care of this, it can turn into either A, worse knee pain, B, injuries down the road. So this is something I take very seriously, because I had a lot of knee pain when I was running in high school and running in college. So knee pain is something that is, I think, ubiquitous with distance runners, and we're going to go over a couple mobilizations using really stretches and a lacrosse ball to improve this knee pain. And the whole goal here is, guys, we're improving the mobility of the joints above and below. Okay, so the knee is a very simple joint. All you do is, it's just like a door. It hinges on a door, right? It straightens, it bends, straightens, it bends, just like a door, opens and closes. But if we take the top part of that door and the bottom part, we start twisting and torquing it, well, it's not gonna feel very good on those hinges. Just like your knee here, if you're tight and locked up and I try and do a squat, I'm like, I'm locked up, and then all this stuff starts to happen. Well, that's not gonna feel too good on our knees either. So the first exercise we are gonna do is called the couch stretch. This is my favorite to give my runners, and think of this as, especially if you have a desk job where you sit down a lot, maybe you're an engineer, a lawyer, or someone who just sits down a lot, which is most of us. Our quads in the front here, specifically our rectus femoris muscle, gets very, very tight, and very, very scarred down. And this can limit our ability of that knee to want to move the right way, and also have a lot of implications on the hip. So we're going to use this stretch to help improve that mobility of this muscle and also take some stress off of that knee. So this is doing the same thing as this guy here, but this stretch, nowhere near as effective as the couch stretch. So I'm a big fan of this one, and there's 3 different progressions. Let's get right to it. So what you're gonna do, I'm gonna have my right knee on the pad here, so put a pillow down, whatever you got. I want my foot pointed against the wall. Try not to kick it out to the side, right? You want it nice right underneath, right in line with your butt. My knee is touch as close to the wall as you can. And the goal here is hang out, right? Okay, do you feel any stretch here? This is phase 1. This is step 1. I can squeeze my glute, keep your core engaged. If you feel a lot of stretch here, that's okay. Hang out here. If it's like, nope, I don't feel much at all, fantastic, we're gonna go to step 2. All step 2 is leg up this way. And some of you may be saying, holy cow, that's a whole lot of stretching, Matt. It is, right? We're really putting this quad muscle on stretch. If you can't do this, right? If you can't get this leg up here, what you're gonna do, there's this halfway home you can get into, and I'll show you on the other side here. So again, if I switch sides, this is step 1, squeeze that glute. I get a little bit of a stretch on this side. If I bring this leg up, right, I'm just hanging out here. You can hold on to something if you need to, but hanging out here, squeeze that glute. Whoa, I get a lot more stretch on my left side because I've put more of a stretching force on this quad muscle. So now here, and a lot of you might be saying, man, I can't get up here. It is super tight without me doing this crazy compensation. That's okay. What you can do, if this is too easy and this is too hard, you can find this middle ground. So my foot doesn't have to be all the way up here. You can kind of get it up, get it right here, totally fine. Squeeze that glute, oh, yep, that's it, that's the spot. Hang out right there. If you can get all the way here, fantastic. This is the tricky part. I feel a little bit of a stretch. I'm not gonna be able to get all the way up, but I want you to keep your core engaged, keep that glute on, both hands on the knee, and we're pushing up, get right about here, a little bit lacking on this side. The goal is to be able to get my back all the way to the wall without arching my back like this. That's the whole reason why the glute and the core is engaged, so we do not, oh, I'm just gonna hyperextend my back. And I'll show you what that looks like. My right side's a little bit, it's actually much looser than my left side is, so I'm here, nothing. You can see how much more I can get up and my back is not arching, right? So I've had a little bit of tweaking this in my hip and my back recently, probably because of how tight this side is. I'm doing a lot of sitting recently, seeing patients at their home, so this is probably a contributing factor to this, so I need to spend some more time here. So this is step 3. I'll go through them one more time. So stage 1 is here. Right, if I'm stretching out my right side, this is stage 1. Stage 2, actually I'll do this side. Stage 1 is here, squeeze that glute, feel a little bit. Stage 2 is here. Stage 1.5, right? If you can't get to stage 2 from stage 1, kind of, I can get here-ish. Awesome. Stage 2 again. Stage 3, keep that core on, glute engaged. Don't do this, right? We don't want a banana back. I can get about here. That's all I got. This is the couch stretch and its progressions. The question you may have is, Matt, how long do I hold this stretch for? Great question. Try for 2 minutes, okay? That is the gold standard, especially if you are stuck at stage 1. That's not right. It's not that it's right, it's not horrible, but it's a sign that, hey, we can definitely make a lot of improvements in our hip mobility. Stage 2, if you're stuck between stage 1 and 2 or stage 2, still 2 minutes. Even if you can get all the way up, there are ways we can progress this to improve our mobility. So this is the essence of the couch stretch. Doing this after you run, fantastic. If you're really, really tight, by all means do it beforehand. It's gonna really help clear up some space for that knee. We're gonna jump right into our hamstring mobilization, right? The hamstrings are just this quad muscle reversed, right? So 2 joint muscle that comes across and comes up and extends the leg, right? The hamstring does this and this. So instead of stretching it, what I wanna do, we're gonna use a lacrosse ball. And sitting on a hard surface like this, like the chair here, I'm gonna scooch back a little bit, place the ball, sit right on it, right in the middle, kind of this area here, sit right on that, and all I want you to do is just roll side to side, right? We are just rolling side to side, trying to find anything that jumps out at us. So if you're home, the couch might not be the best idea. It's a little bit on the softer side. This is just a wooden plyo box, or wooden as a box that we use for box jumps here at CrossFit. So have the ball go a little bit closer to that knee, move it all the way around, trying to find a spot that is tender. So again, at home, kitchen chair typically works pretty darn well. I'm pretty good up here, so you can, guys, feel free to go really close to that sitting bone. You can actually put it on the sitting bone and then roll backwards, right? Get that high hamstring. And just going side to side is a great way to find, is this tender or something sticking out at me here? I got a little bit of a spot here. Do that for a minute. Again, that 2-minute rule still applies. Once I find a spot that's tender, a little bit more up here, I can kick the leg out and then back right off. And kick the leg out, back right off. Kick the leg out, back right off. Fantastic for improving the glide and slide and breaking up scar tissue of that high hamstring that I know a lot of runners are having issues with. Is this, why do I have this high hamstring pain? Again, is this gonna solve it? Maybe, maybe not. It's gonna definitely improve the tissue quality, but this will get you on the right path if you do have some hamstring issues. But also, hey, it's gonna help with that knee because it crosses that knee joint. Again, around 2 minutes, right? You can go a little bit more if you want. What are some contraindications for this, right? Maybe I shouldn't be rolling on this. A, don't bruise it, right? It's okay to push on it, but if you think you are causing a bruise, by all means stop, right? Anytime you think you're on a bone, if it's a hard, like why is this so hard? Stop, you're probably if it feels like a bone, you're probably on a bone. And also if you get some nerve, sharp pain, tingling going on down the leg, take a break, right? The sciatic nerve does run through there. There's a possibility we might irritate that. By all means, if that starts to happen, take a break, go on off, right? The goal is to be smart here, guys. I don't want you to bruise yourselves, right? 2 minutes on here, once or twice a day. You shouldn't be bruising yourselves. If you are, back right off, no problem. So this has been the couch stretch and the self-hamstring mobilization for knee pain. Now, some of you may be asking yourselves, Matt, why the lacrosse ball, right? Why not a traditional foam roller? Why not another fun foam roller, right? And the reason why is, it's not that I don't mind foam rollers, I think they're fantastic, but this one in particular is very, very soft. And it's not that there's anything wrong with it, but the consistency of what we are rolling with definitely matters, right? Great example is if I roll my calves out with this, right? Put on my calves here, and I'm sure many of you have done this, we're like, oh, it feels good, right? I'm rolling my calf out and it feels good, I'm doing something, right? We think we're doing something, and I don't feel much here. And this can be falsely misleading on how our tissue quality is, because I say, man, even if I put pressure here, I'm like, man, I don't feel much, this is awesome. Whereas if I grab our handy dandy lacrosse ball and place that on my calves, what I'll quickly realize is, whoa, there are some tender spots here. For me and many runners, it's that outside calf muscle that we can start to hit. So the point is here, that soft foam roller, it's not that I don't like it, not that I dislike it, but it's just not as effective at improving tissue quality as we think it is, right? This is, can you use it for warm-ups? Can you use it to crack your back? Sure, but I do not recommend it for using it to roll the glutes out, or the calves, or the quads to improve that tissue quality. Now, we do have a second one here. This one I do like. It's a much harder kind of roller. It is a tptherapy.com roller. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, right? I have no financial, it's nothing financially to gain, but I do like this roller because it is much harder. There's not crazy spikes sticking out. We don't need, spiky balls are great. You don't need them, right? You need something that's a constant consistency that is a harder material, right? So this is much harder. It almost looks like a big plastic PVC pipe for the base here. Still though, I don't recommend this for your quads, your calves, the bottom of your feet, right? This would be great. I'm a huge fan of this one for the back, rolling out your back. This will be much better than that one. Why? Because it's harder, right? This is misleadingly, it looks soft, it is very hard. So again, this is tptherapy.com, TP roller, big fan of that. But what we're gonna talk about here, to get to the point of this video, using the lacrosse ball for our calves. And just a quick side note, the lacrosse ball it's rubber, right? There's a metal ball bearing in the center here, and there's a little bit of give, right? It's very portable. Throw it in anybody's backpack, right? You can bring it to your marathons, the Boston Marathon. You can easily bring this with you. You don't need a fancy supernova ball, right? You could. Those are fantastic ones that I might put a link. I have a bunch in the back. I'll bring them out, I think, in a second. But the lacrosse ball, it's fantastic because it's smaller in diameter. It's relatively hard, but there's some give to it, so you're not going to kill yourself. It's not the handle of a kettlebell, right? You're not a power lifter, you're a distance runner. And lacrosse balls work very, very well with distance runners. So let's roll out the calves. If you've used your foam roller before, it's a pool toy. Don't throw it away. Just use it sparingly. Please use the lacrosse ball. What we're going to do, we're going to be here, place it on the ground. Very, very simple technique and easy to understand here that all we're going to do, roll the calf out, right? Get the inside. If you need to prop this up on something, put a big book there, totally fine. Make sure the surface you're on is relatively hard, not the bed, right? Not your bed, not the couch. And roll side to side, all the way around. You can get right behind your kneecap, right? There's a couple special muscles in there, or a couple very small muscles that help lock that knee out when we straighten it. You get right behind there. That has some implications on the knee. So what you can do, and what I noticed, is there's a big tough band of tissue running right down the outside of my calf here. So if I go outside, if I go side to side, I feel like it's rubbing on top of it. And if I go to my left side, I'm like, man, I don't feel that same thing. And what I want you to realize and appreciate is that ropey feeling, that's not normal, right? Especially if it's tender. I'm not saying that jumping over something is not normal, but especially if it feels hard and gritty, like, oh, it's a little bit tender right now, oh my gosh, making a pain face. Like, that is the sign. And that's, hey, this tissue quality, something's going on. It's probably limiting our mobility of our ankle and also the knee, which can have implications on knee pain. So what I want you guys to do is going side to side. This is a transverse friction massage, right? And spend 2 minutes doing this. You can just go all the way up. Feel free to get close to the Achilles. That's totally fine. And when you find a spot that's particularly tender, right? So right here, I'm like, man, I'm really tender right here. Put some pressure on it, up and down, for the remaining minute. You can do this for the full 2 minutes if you like, totally fine. This is one I really like going side to side. And then if I really find a spot like, oh yeah, way up high, I can start to go up and down. Again, the same contraindications are in place here. Pain, nervy pain down the foot and down the leg into the foot, take a break. Numbness, tingling in the foot and leg, take a break. You feel like you're on a bone? You probably are. Try and find that soft tissue. So guys, this has been foam rolling and using the lacrosse ball on the calf to not only improve, we're gonna get a little bit of ankle mobility out of this, but also, hey, improve that knee pain because it crosses the knee joint. Thanks for watching, guys. There's nothing more I enjoy, that I like doing than teaching people and showing people that, hey, especially distance runners, there's things we can do on our own to help improve our aches and pains and why is this so tweaky on me, my hip, my low back, my knee. There's so many things we can do to improve that on our own. Guys, I love doing this. Whether it's doing a workshop at the Charm City Run Store in Maryland, at Potomac River Running Store in Leesburg or Ashburn, or going to a CrossFit gym and showing them some stuff more for their shoulders, even their hips and when they squat. Guys, I love doing this and I hope you enjoyed it. And also, right, thanks for watching again. Right, I know that there's other things you could be doing with your time. So thanks for watching. And if you guys do these exercises, right, if you spend 10 minutes a day doing these exercises, right, 2 minutes on whichever side you have some knee pain on the right, hey, spend some more time on that side, right? Spending that 10 minutes a day for a week to 2 weeks, whether you work with me or not, you're gonna see some fantastic improvement in your knee pain and just in your hip mobility in general. But if you're ready to take that next step and say, hey, I wanna get better long-term, I want some long-term change, by all means, guys, I encourage everybody to say, hey, try this on your own, see how it goes. But if you're ready to take that next step and learn how to take care of yourself on your own for good and finally get rid of the knee pain, the hip pain, low back pain, whatever's been plaguing you, guys, I'm gonna offer you half off an eval with me. So this is good for a week. And guys, this is stuff I see literally all the time, right? The knee pain in distance runners, hip pain in distance runners, it's stuff I see all the time, and that's why I opened the business. Right? That's why I do this, is because many other physical therapists, and I used to be included on this, we thought we could treat distance runners and just not able to give them that long-term change. And especially on my end as a patient, I know exactly what that's like, having horrible knee pain and low back pain in high school and college. Going to college, having my college career cut short because I had so much back pain, I would go to these physical therapists and just none of them understood the intricacies of a distance runner, and they thought they could, but they could not give me that long-term change. So I had to figure it out on my own. So this is huge motivation for me to want to do this. So again, guys, it's half off an eval for listening to me for the past 40 to 50 minutes. I really do appreciate it. And just a quick story on kind of some people that I work with. Right now I'm working with a lady, and she lives in DC, but she's kind of moving all over the place because of COVID. So I'm actually seeing her virtually right now. And she saw me with a year history of being unable to run. And she's an ultra runner, mind you, being unable to run because of her posterior tibial tendonitis. And this is a tendonitis kind of in the back of the ankle here that goes into the arch of the foot. And so she was having extreme arch pain every time she runs. And she had been to traditional physical therapy in DC and just kind of had some, hey, try this stretch, try this, try that. And kind of worked a little bit. Now she can walk with no pain, but unfortunately she can't take that next step, and she can't get back to running. After 2 to 3 miles, she gets this intense arch pain. So for her, what we did was, hey, we looked at her running form, looked at her strength, her mobility, and when I watched her run, I had her record it and send it to me. She has a lot of bouncing and vertical oscillation going on that is just stressing and straining and loading the heck out of that tendon on the inside of her arch. So she had a lot of issues and pain that way. So all we did was say, hey, well, let's stop doing this and do some drills to work on that. And didn't completely solve it, but really cleared up a lot of opportunity for us to then come in and say, hey, how's your ankle? How's your strength? And she's able to run now 8-7 miles without any arch pain. So she's killing it. She's getting back to it. This is just a quick example of somebody that I work with. Even that person is virtually, right? I'm not even seeing her in person. So even in person, there's so much that I can do. Even virtually, there's a whole ton that I can do with the runner to get you out of pain, back to enjoying running without having injuries or pain. So if that's something you're interested in, I'm going to try and add a link below. We'll see how it goes. But if I don't, I'll reach out to some of the board members and get you guys my email address. But if you're interested in looking more on what I do, please visit alphaprojectphysio.com. Again, that's alphaprojectphysio. It's physio with a Z.com. And guys, please check out the website. And if you're interested in taking that next step, it's very easy to kind of find out how to reach me on there. But again, guys, I appreciate you listening, and I'm hoping to put more on in the future and keep on mobilizing, and I hope those knees feel better.